Welcome to Place Part 2. We'll now work on duration and distance. The first thing we're going to start with in Part 2 is duration. We always want to start with duration before we add distance. We want the dog to be able to hold the place before we start walking away. So we start by having the dog in a down position, and like you can see in the video, we're just throwing treats down in between their paws. Now, the reason we're doing this instead of giving it to them out of our hand is because we want the dog to associate the treats with the mat instead of associating payment with the handler. This also allows the handler to begin moving around as the dog is collecting treats and looking for more. They will get used to us moving around as we walk around, and they slowly eat their treats, watching us come back. The number one rule in this exercise is to have your dog wait until they are released with the verbal release command. If you do not reinforce this habit, you will always struggle with your duration work. Once you have built some patience with your duration work, we're now ready to start adding distance, just like with the stay command, taking a quick step back, holding it for just a second, coming back and rewarding the dog. We're going to release them and then do it again. We repeat this exercise by having the dog go onto place and standing further and further away, still tossing treats on the placemat to mark their duration, and still having them wait for the release command before they're allowed to get off. While working on duration, the dog will get bored or anxious and get off. Just like with our stay command, we're going to use spatial pressure, put them back on the placemat, have them wait to be released before they're allowed to get off. Once you start gaining confidence in the dog, you can begin to drop the leash and throw the treat onto the place. If it falls off, the dog is allowed to get off and get it, but they have to get back on and wait for that release command. Now we can start adding distractions. The first distraction will be the handler walking around and making gestures to the dog that don't mean he's released, but still may look inviting, such as crouching down. We want to do this so that even if the dog picks up on other body cues, they're only waiting for that verbal release. Practicing these situations will help your dog remain focused on you and safe. If, say, your neighbor gets all excited and says hi, your dog isn't going to take this as an invitation to run across the road. Next, we're going to test the dog by giving them an option. So here we have a bag of treats on the ground. We give the dog the place command. He tries to go for the bag instead of getting into place. We redirect with the leash by giving him a quick correction when he goes towards the bag and then using the leash to direct to place. The second attempt goes much better now that the dog understands what we're doing. The handler gives the place command. The dog acknowledges the bag, but goes straight towards the place, like we wanted. He's going to get rewarded on place, so he's going to learn that he doesn't have to steal from the ground if he works for you. Remember, training is about building respect, not bossing each other around. The next stage would be to add some other distractions. So we still have the treat bag on the floor, but now there's also some toys being thrown around. You can see the handler is still tossing treats as the dog ignores whatever's being put on the floor. The handler is also going to use one of the toys to reward the dog to turn this boring training session into a really fun play session. It is important to add an element of play into your training sessions so that your dog enjoys the activity, has a positive association to it, and is willing to work with you because you are the most fun person in his world. Your final task will be to use 2 place targets to practice your sending by standing far away from both and using your hand to point at which one you want the dog to go to.